Hello AFDA students, and welcome to our AFDA video lesson 13. Today we're going to be talking about possibly a new topic or something that's new for us this year. You've probably been exposed to it in Algebra 1, and that's calculating slope. And we want to be able to calculate slope of a line given 2 points, or maybe even the line itself. So terminology we have today, you guys know about the coordinate plane, this word slope. A horizontal line we'll talk about, a vertical line, we've talked about those things already. Something called positive slope, negative slope, and this little odd word here called tilde. We'll be using that today. That's just something that's on your keyboard that we'll point out to you shortly. Now, example 1 here has a graph of a line, and they've highlighted 3 points on that line. Now, all slope is, students, is the steepness of a line. It's just a number measurement to talk about the steepness. So that word right here is steepness. That's a P. So that's the steepness of a line. Sometimes they refer to slope as the rate of change. You might hear that every once in a while. Now, some of your earlier definitions of slope, you might have heard something called rise over run. You might have heard about the vertical change over the horizontal change, where it's a change in this direction versus that direction. You could talk about that as the change in y over the change in x. Now, my favorite definition is this guy right down here. It's got this little Greek symbol called delta. It has delta y over top of delta x. I like that definition. It's the shortest one, and the word delta means change. So it's a change in y over the change in x. So how do we use any of these fractional definitions to find the slope of, let's say, this line? Well, all we have to do is start on one point and use the grid and walk to the other point, sort of keeping sense of direction. So we're going to start right here on this point, and I'm going to walk up. Remember, up is positive, and I walked up 2 blocks. So I'm going to write a 2 right there. And then I turn and I'm going to go to the right, and I walk 1 block to get to that point. So to walk from that point to that point, I go up 2 and to the right 1. So I have the numbers that I need to form the fraction that is slope. So a lot of times you'll see me write down delta y over delta x. And the change in y was 2 over the change in x is 1. So the slope of that line is 2 over 1, or just 2. Now, sometimes slope, they use a letter also to represent slope. They use the letter M to represent slope. Now, if you didn't like that, or didn't like those 2 points, you can use a different point. Let's say I'm grabbing this point right here, and I'm going to walk to that point. Well, I'm going to walk up along the grid here, and then I'm going to turn right and go that direction. Now, let me count my blocks, see how far I walked up. So I walked up, let's see, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to put a 6 there, and then I turn and walk to the right, 1, 2, 3. So I'll put a 3 there. Now again, my definition for slope that I like is delta y over delta x. My change in y, how far up or down I went, was positive 6 over my change in x, which was 3. I still got 2 for my slope, or 2 over 1 if you will. Okay? So 2 over 1 and 2 are the same thing. So this line has a slope of 2, or 2 over 1 if you'd like to leave it in a fraction. Now, most of the time, again, all these definitions are in the form of a fraction, so you hear fractions a lot with slope. Now, let's slide down. Earlier, I had you guys do a problem that looked like this on a previous activity. So I had you guys do something like a minus b over c minus d. And you had numbers like this where you had to plug them in, and you did like a, which is 2, minus b, which is 1, all over top of c, which is 3, minus d, which is negative 1. So 2 minus 1, that would give you 1. 3 minus a negative 1, a minus a negative makes that go to a what? Positive. So you would get 4 there. So if you were going to go ahead and figure out the answer for this, you would come up with 1/4. Well, slope has a formula, and it's right here. It says y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now I'm saying the word sub, which is short for subscript. That's what these little numbers are. And all those are equal to the slope. Well, where does that come from? Well, up here, all we did is we subtracted 2 numbers twice, and we're going to do the same thing with the slope formula. But we just got to figure out all these weird looking x's and y's, where they come from. Well, if we have 2 points on a line down here, and it's 6 and 7, remember the points are ordered pairs. And they have an x and a y. True? Now, all you have to do, and it doesn't matter which one you call point 1 or which one you call point 2, you just call one of them point 1 and point 2. So that's where I put the subscripts in there. So that's my x for point 1 and my y for point 1. There's my x for point 2 and my y for point 2. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug those in to the formula right here. So my y for point 2 is 6 minus my y for point 1, which is 7, all over top of my x for point 2, which is 4, minus my x for point 1, which is 6. So then I do the math, subtract the 2 numbers twice. 6 minus 7 is negative 1. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Now you guys know a negative over negative is a positive. So the answer for that turns into 1/2. Now some of y'all might be asking the questions, what happens if I call this one point 1 and this one point 2? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. So if you did that real quick, I'm not going to rewrite that, and you did it this way, you did 7 minus 6 all over top of 6 minus 4, you would still get 1/2. So those answers are the same. Okay? So that's using the slope formula. And again, all you need are just 2 points to plug it in the formula. Okay? And again, it doesn't matter which one you call point 1 or which one you call point 2. Once you make the decision, just stick with it. Okay? Let's go over and see what else we might have on this lesson. Let's look over here at example 2. Okay? Now, this says find the slope of a line passing through the pair of points. Now, again, if you were using the slope formula, you might attack it this way, go x and y, maybe call this one point 1, and this one point 2, and then you're going to do some math here, and you're going to do 9 minus 8 all over top of 5 minus 2. And you might say the slope of that line is 1/3. Okay? Now, pretty easy to do, but you have a choice. You can use the Desmos calculator if you wanted to find the slope of a line. So, what do you do here? Well, you're given 2 points again, because that's all you need to find the slope of a line. If you go on your Desmos and you hit the plus sign, it will give you your table. Okay? So put an AB in there. And then in the next calculation box, use this. Okay? You're going to type in there Y1. That's that tilde right there. That's what we talked about. That's a tilde. So you'll see that on your keyboard up on the top left. You're going to type in M, X with the little 1, plus the B. Now if you remember way back in the day, the B is the y-intercept. We're not looking for that. We are looking for the M. So let me demonstrate that for you here real quick. Let me make sure I've got my points. So I've got the points -2, 7, and 3, -8. So I'm going to grab my Desmos calculator, and I'm going to hit the plus sign. Very important that you hit the plus sign. Now that's going to give you an option of getting this expression, which we'll talk about later, or a table. You want to choose the table, and all you're going to do is type your points in there. So you're going to type in -2, 7, -2, and 7. And then you're going to type in your next point, which is, let me look over there, is 3, -8, 3, and -8. And then I told you to go to your next calculation box and type in this, this y with the little 1 and that tilde. Again, that's the top left button there that you have. Y sub 1 tilde m x with the little 1 plus b. Now, it even graphs a line. Let me move all this stuff out of the way. Sorry about that. Okay. So we typed this up here in that little table. So we hit the plus sign, typed in our 2 points. Hope I got the points right on there. And then we typed in this guy right here, y1 tilde mx1 plus b. It just tells you where it's getting the x's and y's out of this table up here. Now, what you're interested in right here, folks, is this m value right here. It tells you that the slope is -3, okay? Your slope is -3. Now, you could come over here to this graph and check it out. Remember, it's the rate of change, so our y is going down 3 and then maybe over 1, okay? So we see that we're going down 3 blocks and over 1 for that line. Now, it asked you guys in the notes right there for you guys to do another one. Calculate -7, 8 and -5, 7. So, I'm just going to type it in here. Again, what was it? -7, 8. And the other one was, bear with me, -5, 7. -5 and 7. Again, if you're starting from scratch, make sure you get that plus sign to get your table there. Now this time it tells you that my slope is -0.5. Well, when I check the answers on a multiple choice, I don't see a decimal in there. So I'm going to show you a little trick how to convert that to a decimal. So just grab another calculation box, type in that m that you see, which is -0.5, and it has this little fraction icon. Click on that. And it's going to tell you that the slope is -1/2. So that converts a decimal to a fraction for you in the calculator. Now, the last examples that I have for you here, let me come back to the lesson. Last examples that I have for you are actual graphs. Okay? Again, you filled in right here. I think we said it's -0.5. Or you said that's equal to -1/2 as a fraction. Probably that's the preferred thing. Now, let's look at some special cases here. If you see this graph here, notice that you see a horizontal line. Now, I said all you need are 2 points, so let me grab 2 points, maybe that one and that one. I'm going to write down my delta y over delta x somewhere here. Delta y over delta x. How far do I change in my y direction to get to that point? Well, I don't change anywhere. They're on the same line, so I don't go up or down anywhere. So that value is going to be 0. My x in this case is 2. Well, a 0 in the numerator is always going to give you a 0. So the slope of this horizontal line, 0. Now, if you do a couple of these, you're going to find out that any horizontal line is going to have a slope of 0. Remember the second letter of horizontal looks like that. Now, this problem right here is a vertical line. Again, we might do the same thing where we might grab 2 points on here. I might write down my delta y over my delta x. My change in y here is 2. Could be any number. I could have picked any points on that line. It's made up of infinite number of points. Now my change in x, how far I go left or right on that vertical line, is 0. Now, having a 0 in the denominator is said to be undefined. So if you see pictures of lines and the line's going upward as you read it left to right, you're going to find out it has positive slope. If it goes down like this, left to right, it's going to have negative slope. If it's horizontal, any line that's horizontal, it's going to have a slope of 0. And any vertical line, if you move that over, that slope is said to be undefined. So, hope you can calculate slope from a set of points or from a picture. And Good luck with your slope.